Hello and welcome, as we're going to take a little while, the next few minutes, just to have a little look at this all-inclusive kit. At the moment we are here in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Lots of people are having to stay at home, and so for some people they may be looking for something to do. They may not have a whole craft room full of stuff, or they might just want something quick and easy to be able to pick up and play. And our all-inclusive kits are just perfect for that. So my name is Helen Jennings. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based here in the UK. And if you are living here in the UK and you fancy getting your hands on one of these kits, I would be very happy to help you. So just find me at www.loveaduckie.co.uk. But let's have a little look. So I have literally not even unwrapped this kit. I've taken it out of its cardboard box, which it comes in, all beautifully packaged. We have a leaflet that's going to help us to create our projects. So we will have a little look at that in a bit more detail in a minute. And then we have this beautiful box. And as I say, it is an all-inclusive kit. So we get our little Night of Navy stamping spot. So that's our little ink pad. We get our stamp set. So there's lots of greetings and things on there. We get these beautiful copper colour sequins, self-adhesive sequins ready to go on. We've got a load of twine there, so some linen thread. So we've got a spool of linen thread. We've got some 3D dimensionals. And this, I've not even undone this yet. So let's shake this out of our beautiful box. So obviously our beautiful box then can be used to store our finished cards, to be used as a gift box, all sorts of things you might want to use your box for. So let's undo the cellophane on this packet. Might need just to get my scissors out and run those up there very carefully. Obviously I want to break the cellophane without damaging any of the cards and envelopes and things. So there we go. Now then, there is actually a glue dot there that has come off of the sheet. So we also get a block. So as we've got our stamps, we've got a block, and we've got an ink pad. So we don't need anything else. We have our card bases, our envelopes. We have pop out bits that we're going to be able to use on our cards there, and there's also a set of glue dots here, and that's where this glue dot, I've got a stray glue dot here that's wandered, so I've got plenty there, so I'll just get rid of that. So these are all glue dots on here, so you've got the paper backing on them, and then underneath, if you peel off your paper backing, you'll find your little dot of glue. So a whole sheet full of glue dots. So these are our pieces to pop out. So they're in Night and Navy and Tranquil Tide, I believe the colours are in this kit. If we open it up, it will tell us. So coordinating colours: copper, craft card, Night of Navy, seaside spray, terracotta tile, and white. So yeah, these are terracotta tile flowers, and we've also got the Night of Navy flowers. So there's a couple of sheets of those. We've got this craft card with this sort of stamped pattern on. So we've got 3 sheets of those. Then we've got these labels that are copper embossed, ready to stamp our greetings on. So there's 2 with that sort of those combination of shapes, and we've got one there with the long strips, and one with these elongated labels, and there's another of those strips of craft card, and a piece of nice stiff card to keep them all nice and flat in the box. Excuse me, that we will then be able to use for something else elsewhere, or to keep something flat when you're posting it. To that sort of, this card, don't throw it away, is useful for all sorts of things. So we have our card bases. We have 3 of this sort of seaside spray and Night of Navy, this stripe with a pattern going across it. We've got 3 that are just a plain Night of Navy. We've got 3 that are a seaside spray background with this terracotta tile pattern on the front. So that's all already printed onto the card. And then we've got 3 like this with this sort of diamondy pattern in the background and a Night of Navy strip. So that's 4 designs, 3 of each. By my maths, that makes 12 cards. And then we've got envelopes as well. And the envelopes are beautiful. Are they all the same? No, they are different. So we've got envelopes that have got this sort of linear sort of pattern inside. 4, 5, 6 of those, and then presumably that means we've got 6 of these as well with the diamond pattern. So nice fancy envelopes as well, and a really good quality envelope. So you know when these arrive through the door that you've got something special going on. So let's have a little quick look at these cards, and we'll do one of each as set out on the leaflet. Obviously you don't have to do them all as set out on the leaflet, that is just a serving suggestion, but we will do one of each just to show you how they come up if you wanted to follow the instructions. But obviously then you can go off-piste and do your own variations. You can make them what you want to make them. So let's bring in our leaflet. So in our leaflet it tells you what your kit includes, so you can check off and make sure you've got everything. It tells you what the colours are that are used in your kit. You've got some tips. So it says here on the 3 cheers card, place the centre craft piece first and add the outside pieces after to ensure even placement. We'll do that in a minute. And then you can store the completed cards in the designer box or finish the box and give the completed cards as a gift. There's a couple of suggestions. And then we've got our steps here. So number 1 is stamping the Night of Navy ink. Number 2 is adhere linen thread using adhesive dots. Number 3 is adhere whatever it is using adhesive dots. Number 4 is adhere using stamping dimensionals. And number 5 is adhere sequins. So that's our 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and we'll see those in a minute. Obviously you've also got that then in French, German and Japanese. So if you are fluent in any of those languages, you might find that useful. And then we've got our little cards here, and as you can see you've got your numbered elements on the side. So number 1, number 2, number 4 and number 5, and you can take that back and have a look at what those numbers were to pick up your instructions. So let's have a little look then at these cards. So this is card number 1. So for this birthday card, it tells us how much of the linen thread we want. So we're actually going to want 30.5 centimetres of linen thread. We're going to need, so our label in this one is the one that's got the flat ends. So that's this one just here. So let's pop that label out. We're going to need 2 of these flowery elements. So we'll pop those out. That. A 30 centimetre piece of our linen thread. Let me just get to my ruler. Or you could use, if you've got some of our grid paper, you could use that to measure your, it's actually 30.5, so let's just take it a little bit over the 30. I'm sure that 0.5 probably won't make much difference, but we'll take it just a little bit over the 30. You always get plenty of everything in these kits, so you'll have some left over, so you don't have to worry about running out. And what it does say is that we need to tie this in a bow. So we're going to take our 30.5 strip of linen thread and tie it in a bow. So I will fiddle with that more when I You can see that laid out. So step number 1 is to stamp with our I'm going to need this card base, and step number 1 is to stamp with our Night of Navy ink. So I am just going to have to break the seal on this ink pad. So again, I'll get my scissors and just break that seal. And this is using the birthday wishes all around, so that's this sentiment just here. So let's take that off of the sheet. I'm going to lay it down on my mat and then take my ink block and pick it up. And the reason that you lay your stamp down and then pick it up that way is that if you try and just lay it on the block, you can sometimes twist it slightly. So by allowing it to lay down and find its own level before you pick it up, you're less likely to have twisted the stamp. So I'm going to ink that up. Now what I am going to do is just find something soft to go underneath my label where I stamp this. So if you have a piercing mat or something, that's fabulous. If not, if you've got something like an old mouse mat or even just a pile of paper or something, that will all help. We're going to line that up on our label and let's press down. Now what I haven't done, and what it is always advisable to do with a brand new stamp, is just to stamp it onto a piece of scrap paper first, but that is fine. I'm just going to clean that stamp off with a wet chamois cloth. Let's just pop the lid back on our ink pad for a moment. So we have our card base. We have our label, we have 2 lots of flowers, we have our linen bow, and we're going to have some sequins. So that is the makings of our card. So number 1, we have stamped with our Night of Navy ink. Number 2, instruction number 2 is to adhere linen thread using adhesive dots. So we're going to stick down our thread with adhesive dots. Number 4 is to adhere using stamping dimensionals. So we're going to put both our flowers and our label on using stamping dimensionals. And then number 5 is to add the sequins. So let us take one of our dots and just going to take the layer of paper off the back, pick up our glue dot, and then we're going to use that to stick our linen thread bow onto the back of our card like that. And then we're going to take our dimensionals from our kit and we're just going to put some dimensionals. Now I'm not taking my dimensionals right to the end because I'm going to tuck my flowers underneath in a moment. So let's just take the backs off of those. And we'll have that coming across the centre, and then we're also going to put a couple of dimensionals on the back of our flowers. Take the backs off and we'll have one coming out there, more flowers on the back. We'll have one coming out the bottom here. And then all that remains is for us to put a few of our little sequins on. Now, rule of thumb when you're doing any sort of embellishments is you want them in odd numbers, not evens. So we're going to take 3 of these little copper sequins. We'll have one up there. We'll have one here, and we'll have one down here somewhere. Ooh, that one's lost its little bit of glue dot, still stuck to my pick it up tool. Let's reunite those. So there we are, there's our first little card created just as it is suggested on the leaflet. So nothing too complicated there. That gives you a lovely card then that you can match up with one of these envelopes. Let's go for one of these that's got the linear pattern because that reflects that linear pattern there. You've got one card ready to pop in the post. So if you can't get out at the moment to buy cards, why not make your own? So let's pop that one in our box, ready to go, while we have a look at our next card. So our next card is featuring this sort of diamondy pattern in the background and this strip of Night of Navy across there. So that's that one. We're going to need another of the little blue flowers, so we'll take that. We're also going to need the label that's pointed at both ends, so let's find one of those. It's one of these labels. We'll pop that on there. We're going to need a few more sequins, and then this time we're going to need 32 centimetres of ribbon of linen thread. Let's put that there. Let's bring in our spool of linen thread and let's measure 30, 32. Okay, so we'll snip that. Let's find our little set of stamps and we'll pop this one away. And because the one that we need for this second card is the one that says, "Thank you, my heart can't stop smiling." There we are, that's one to send to one of the key workers at the moment. So to a nurse or somebody that you know that's doing a grand job, somebody who's been collecting shopping for you. Lots of reasons why you might want to send somebody a thank you card. So there, let's pick that up. Another Night of Navy. Get the Night of Navy ink again, and again we will ink up our stamp. Take our "Thank you, my heart can't stop smiling." And let me just clean up that stamp with my Simply Chamois. I'll pop that stamp back on the sheet and then we'll build this one up. So looking again at our picture, which is here. Number 1 was stamp in the navy blue ink. That's what we've just done with here. Number 2 was to attach with glue dots, and that is for our piece of linen thread, which is just here. And for this piece of linen thread, we're actually going to loop that. So I'm going to take it round my hands and wrap it round my hand a few times to create some loops of linen thread. So that we then need to attach to the back of our label, and we'll do that with some glue dots. So you could also use double-sided tape for this if you'd wanted to, if you happen to have some of that about. But we're just using the things that we've got in our kit. So what we've got in our kit is glue dots, so that's what we're going to use. So I'm going to put another glue dot there and attach that side of the loop to the back. Now obviously what happens on the back of the card stays on the back of the card, so you're not going to be able to see those loops and things on the back. So that was number 1. Number 2, number 4 is attaching things with our dimensionals. So that applies again to both our label here and to our flowers. So let's put some dimensionals on there. And we will lay that down like this, have a bit of a tweak with our linen thread, and then we will put some dimensionals on the back of our flowers. And we will have those peeking out up there. And then again we're going to take some of our sequins, and again we're going to go with 3. We'll have 1 just here, 1 just here, and we'll bring 1 down on the bottom here. So there's card number 2. So for this one we'll choose one of the envelopes that have the diamond patterns on, because that will reflect our diamond pattern in there. So let's put that together with that. And there we have a thank you card to go with our birthday card in our kit. So let's go on to the next card. So the next card is the Night of Navy, the plain Night of Navy back. So for this one we're going to need some of these craft card strips that have already been printed with that diamond pattern. Let's pop those out. And then for this one we also want the long banner piece with the 2 pointy ends. So let's find that. Here we are, that's one of these. Actually got 2 layers there, but we just want the one. This one tells us that we need 40.6 centimetres of linen thread. So let's get our ruler out again and our linen thread. .30, 40.6, so about there. As I say, you do get plenty of linen thread, you do get extra, so you don't need to worry too much being absolutely exact with that. Right, again we're going to tie this into a bow. It's going to need to be quite a big bow because it's going to come sort of either side of our greeting panel. It's coming out here and out here. So number 1 is stamp in Night of Navy ink, and the stamp that it suggests we use for this one is the one that says 3 cheers for you. Obviously you can use any of the stamps that fit the card that you're wanting to send, or you can, if you have other sentiments around at home, you can swap them out and use different sentiments. There are no hard and fast rules. So let's press that down. Don't need to squash it too much, we just need it to have good contact with the card. Clean that up. Pop that back in there. So that's number one. Number two is attaching with glue dots. So that's both the thread. So number two is attaching thread with glue dots. Number three is attaching other things with glue dots. So it suggests that we attach both this and these with glue dots. Number four was dimensionals. So we're going to attach this bit with dimensionals. And then number five is our sequins. So we've got a bit of everything going on here. But what we're going to do first is we're going to attach our strips. Now, if you remember back, that helpful tip that it gave you right at the beginning was that when it comes to attaching the strips, put your center one in first, because the reason that you're going to do that is because it helps you to make sure that you've evened them up, that you've got them on nice and evenly. Now that first glue dot didn't quite go where I wanted to. I was going to put it on this corner, but it's near enough. So let's just pop some glue dots on here. I'm going to put 6 on, I think. That will be far more than enough to hold that piece of card. So having stuck those on, I'm just going to be able to flip the backing paper off. So we're going to go with our center one first. So we want that to be about there, I would think. So that's about in the center. So then let's come this side. Swing this over and put some glue dots on the back of there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Flip off those back pieces, those coverings. Sorry if you can hear lots of background noise. My neighbours are having a bit of a tidy, I think. Right, so we're going to take this strip and lay it alongside this one on this side. This card has got quite a bit of sheen to it, this background card. And then let's come with this other piece. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, we'll flip off those back pieces. It's all been very quiet out here today. And suddenly everybody's very busy and industrious. But that's okay. We're being busy and industrious in here. We're just a bit quieter about it. There we go. So we've got our 3 strips going across there. Then, oh, I've lost my pictures. Here we go. Our 3 cheers for you is going to go there. Our linen thread bow is going to come across the back there. And then we're going to pop some sequins on. So let's lay this linen bow across the back of here. Decide where we want it to go. So we want sort of that loop coming out the bottom there, and this loop coming out the top here. So if we turn it over, and again grab a couple of glue dots, we'll have one just there, and one just there. And we'll capture that loop just there, and we'll capture that loop just there. And then we'll put some dimensionals on the back. And it doesn't matter if we capture the bow. As I say, what happens on the back stays on the back. You're not going to be able to see that anyway. Let's take those backs off. And pop that across there. The neighbours the other side are joining in now with some hammering. And then let's get some sequins, and again we're going to need 3. One. Oh, where's that gone? And that glue dot is peeking out there. Let's tuck it underneath. There we go. 2. And then 1 down the bottom here. So 3 cheers for you. Card number 3, and that one I think again we'll go with a envelope that's got the diamonds on, because we've got that diamonds pattern in this background just here. So that's that one. And last but not least, we've got this card here. Oh look, and I've popped that. That's why you put your lid on your ink pad, but I think we'll probably manage to cover most of that up. So we want 1 of these coming down there. We want the tranquil tide flower. It's going to sit on there. We need a 30.5 centimetre piece of linen thread. Oh, come here. 30 plus a little bit over that we're going to tie into a bow. Let's tie that into a bow. It's going to come across the back of our flower just here, and then we'll just have some sequins to add in as well. So let us take a glue dot, pop it on the back of that bow, And that is going to come across here somewhere. Okay, so we've got that ready to stick down, but first of all we need to do our sentiment, and that is one of these straight panels, and this one is using the sentiment "Hooray for Tiny Miracles." So you could send this for a new baby, and I'm sure you can think of other instances. Somebody who's eventually passed their driving test after 29 times of trying. That would be a good reason to have a hooray for Tiny Miracles. So whatever your tiny miracle that you're celebrating, there's a card for the occasion. Let's get our lid and put that back on our little ink spot, and then we will build this up. So number 1 we have stamped in navy blue ink. Number 2 we have attached our linen thread with a glue dot. Number 3 is to attach this with glue dots. So let's get some glue dots, and again we will put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6 glue dots. Take off our backing. I feel as if we should be joining in being really noisy, instead of which we're being quite calm and quiet in here. No hammering, strimming. So that's our strip that we're going to put down there. Actually, I'm going to twist that bow round so that these bits are coming down this way. We're then going to put some dimensionals on the back of our panel. So 1, 2, 3. And we'll have that, move that down a little bit, have that coming across there like that, and then we'll put some more dimensionals on the back of our flowers. Take the backs off of those. And this one doesn't want to come off. Have that sitting on there. And of course, we can't finish without adding 1, 2, and 3 copper sequins, and we'll match that up with one of the paler envelopes that matches with that colour. Pop that in there, and there we have card number 4 to go into our box. So we have made up there 1 of each, as it tells us on the instructions. So it shows just how easy they are to follow and to create some really lovely cards, and to have everything that you need. I've not had to go for anything that isn't in my kit. So you've got your stamps, you've got your embellishments, you've got your linen thread, you've got your ink spot, you've got your block. Here we are, here's our block with our stamp on it. Let me just give that a clean up. So we have our block, and we have our dimensionals, and we have our glue dots. So everything that you need to create some really lovely little cards, and obviously I've only made one of each. So you can make 3 of each of those, and you can either have them exactly as they are, or you can then start playing around with them and doing different things. So you could quite simply turn the card around and have things coming across this way. So you could do that with all of these. You could have this one going this way. So yes, you can turn cards around. You could have, you could do different things with your strips. You might want to have one coming down and one going across or something like that. There's all sorts of things that you can do, still just using the elements in the box to make them just that little bit different. So let's revisit those 4 cards that we've just created with their beautiful envelopes. We've got the birthday wishes all around. We've got hooray for tiny miracles. We've got 3 cheers for you. And we've got thank you. My heart can't stop smiling. They're all twinkling as those pretty copper sequins are catching the light. And then you've also got this little stamp just here that we haven't used, but there's no reason why you can't use it on your cards if you'd like to. You could perhaps put a little bit of a stamp on the inside if you want to. You can mask off pieces of the card, so you could just have birthday wishes. You don't have to have it all on there. You could just have the thank you. You could just have hooray. Lots of things that you can do with this little kit. And when you've completed them all, you've got a beautiful box to keep them all in. So if you would be interested in having a little kit for something to keep you going whilst you're stuck at home, then do get in touch, and I would be more than happy to help you out if you are somebody that is living here in the UK. So thank you for joining me, and do check out my Facebook page where I do lives regularly. Do check out my website www.loveaduckie.co.uk, and do check out the rest of the videos on my YouTube channel, and don't forget to subscribe.